Good morning, you listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning my guest is Svend Hovmand, who is the Chairman Emeritus of Crossville, on the Board of Directors with the TCNA, the CTEF, and also on the Board of Directors of the Covering Show. Svend, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much, Kemp.
It's good to be with you. You know, this industry is very lucky to have an advocate like you. You're the guy that's always kind of driving change, and I wanted to talk to you about some of your latest hot buttons, the things you're focused on. First, a little quick review. A long time ago, you were extremely visionary. You were instrumental in bringing the first porcelain factory to the United States, right?
Yes, that is correct, yeah. That was 1985, a long time ago.
I don't think you've slowed down a bit. So after you retired from Crossville, you still take on a lot of these initiatives. Let's first talk about the certified installers. I know that's an area that you focus on. Let's talk a little bit about that. Give us an update on what's going on there.
Well, what is going on there is that I think the program is getting more and more accepted. We have now about 750 installers that has been certified. And we made it a little easier because now it's only a one-day test, but equally fair and square and difficult. And you can take the written test on the computer. So it's being streamlined, basically. So we hope that will encourage people to sign up for that. We have also got recognition in the way that the handbook committee, the TCNA handbook, is now recommending that when you have an installation that you try to get qualified installers with certified CTEF installers. And that's the first time we have a recognition of that kind. The handbook is also saying that, of course, 5-star NTCA contractors and TCCA's Child of Excellence contractors are also very qualified to do the job. And I think that's a very important step in the right direction.
I think the goal is at the end of this year to have 1,000 certified installers. Is that right?
That is our target for this year, to be up to 1,000 certified installers.
Now, you mentioned about the language in the handbook of recommending a certified installer. Also interested to hear this morning Eric Estrakhan's press conference today that there's a new master architectural spec that also has that recommendation, right?
Yeah, it's a similar recommendation, and we believe that is very important. We need to get the architects and designers, the spec writers, we need them to state clearly in their specification that they're looking for qualified installers. That, again, it will be a whole new way of getting the market to move in the right direction.
You know, people who listen to this show know I've talked about this several times in the past week, but the per capita usage of tile in the United States is unbelievably low when you look at the other developed countries in the world. Do you think that one of the issues could be, the reason that Americans haven't bought more tile is because they've either had a bad installation experience or they're a little nervous about it? Do you think that's a factor?
Yes, when various focus groups that I have seen the results from, it is very clear that the biggest concern that people have when they buy tile is how to get it properly installed. That goes both for the commercial area and the residential area.
One of the roles that you play is being chairman of Coverings, and we're in the second day of the show. Give our audience a little feel for what you think the show's like this year.
I think it's a little bit better. I think the traffic is up, and we've had a good bunch of exhibitors this year, so we are reaching our targets. So we're quite pleased with that.
Another thing I learned this morning at the Tile Council of North America's press conference was this whole new, after I think 7 years of development, they developed this new standard for coefficient of friction. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Yes, this is again a very dramatic change. Up to now, we really have not had a standard in the tile industry to make a tile with a low slip potential. We had a way of measuring the coefficient of friction, but it has been the static coefficient of friction. And this was not a very satisfactory situation So the Tile Council has worked for many years and examined literally hundreds of tiles from American tile manufacturers to develop criteria that's relevant for the market and would give a value of the dynamic coefficient of friction, and the value actually is 0.42, that will indicate whether the tile has a low potential for slippage, or whether it is in a zone where, when it's wet, that you have to take extra caution.
Now, that old factor for the commercial market used to be 6, and now it's 4.2, right?
Yeah, it used to be 0.6, but a static coefficient of friction is always higher than a dynamic coefficient of friction. So really, the criteria is pretty much the same, but the beauty of the new method is that it's much more precise, and it's really, as far as I know, the most precise method that we have in the whole world of all the many measurements to get a good indication of the slippage on the tile.
And they used to use just regular water, and with this new test, they use a soapy water substance.
That's right. That's to make it a little bit more relevant for what is on the floors, because you don't just wash floors with pure water. You quite often have a little soap in them. So we're trying to simulate that.
Okay, Sven, well, I appreciate you spending time with us. It's always good to see you, and we appreciate what you do for this industry. Again, we've been talking to Svend Hovmand, who is the Chairman Emeritus of Crossville, on the Board of Directors for the TCNA, the CTEF, and also on the Board of Directors of the Covering Show. And you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.